Hello, this is Bart Sharp with Greater Consciousness for Emotional Transformation with the topic Applied Kinesiology or Muscle Testing as a Therapeutic Tool. Now, muscle testing or applied kinesiology is used in a variety of contexts. How I've seen it used most is people muscle testing to see if certain foods are right for them. They'll put the food up to their chest and do some sort of technique like hold their arm out, or if they lean forward, it means the food is right for them. If they go backwards, and when they're in a relaxed state, that is, they know that if they go back, it's not any good for them. And it's a great tool because you can really see what resonates with you. And people like chiropractors, naturopaths, different modalities of alternative medicine use muscle testing to get a read on whether something is right for them, a certain medicine, or if this is where the subluxation in the spine, for example, is out, or is it in alignment. And muscle testing does all of these things of measurement. The body is infinite and tells us all the information we didn't need to know just by asking. That is the whole premises of muscle testing. So the body can tell us anything that we ask of it in its memory and information that it's absorbing in its environment. All of that is available to us through muscle testing. So when we start to look at muscle testing as a tool to explore our own emotional life, it is a very good tool. What it does is, for example, we might ask, am I holding anger towards my father in relation to the time that he hit me when I was age 2? And we can ask and get a yes or no response. Even in a more sophisticated form of muscle testing, we could ask, where are we holding this in our body? And literally scan our body, and where our hand stops or it gets heavy, or there'll be a heavy energy that emanates, that is where the energy is held in the body. So the body literally shows us through muscle testing. In other words, when I move my hand up and it stops right here, for example, that's the body's messages saying, this is the place that you need to pay attention to in regards to the repressed anger. So we can really get pinpointed about where emotions are held, or what type of emotion. For example, is it sadness, or shame, or fear? And through muscle testing, we can start to assess what different emotions, what ages they occurred, who are they related to, when we are starting to feel distress in our body. For example, if I am distressed at a situation at work and I go home and I'm processing it like I have done so many times, I would start using muscle testing devices to say, okay, for that discomfort I felt towards my coworker, what emotion was I feeling? And I start to say, is it shame, sadness, fear, anger, guilt? And I will get a response. And then go down other questions like, where is it located? Is there a time in my past that resonated with what was happening? Which is a very crucial question, because you can start to see that emotions that are triggered in the present have a past reference. And this is great to know, because you can start to see what age that this past reference is parallel to our present tense anger, or another emotion. And then we can go even deeper than just that. We can start to say, well, who is that past tense emotion related to? And we're only as good as our questions, so we can start asking more sophisticated questions like, what was the situation I was doing with, for example, if the anger is related to my big brother, and I just start thinking about logical things my big brother did with me or did to me, and I can get a good sense about what was happening. Like, oh, my big brother, was he bullying me? And it's like I get a resonance, for example, with that. Then I start to say, well, how does that person at work make me feel in relation to my big brother? Am I getting fears of being aggressed against this person, for example, because that's comparable to bullying? And I can get a muscle test answer, yes or no, with that. With this, I can really go into what is repressed inside of me just by asking questions and using muscle testing instead of my actual memory. Because the memory can trick us, and a lot of times we've forgotten all of these stories that have happened to us. And it takes hours to really assess actually what happens when we go into our memory. Whereas muscle testing, we can do it very immediately. And the cool thing about muscle testing is when we start to make these assessments and get information, then it triggers the memory in the mind to remember the stories. And so the memories get more and more profound and more detailed, and we start to get a feeling about actually what happened in our lives. And you can ask numerous questions about what has happened to you. If you have suspicions things happen to you but don't have the actual evidence, muscle testing might be a really good way to get insight and perspective about what was going on way back when. The body remembers everything. The body has an infinite knowing, and muscle testing is a great way to access it. So this is Bart Sharp with Greater Consciousness through Emotional Transformation with Body Consciousness, getting in touch with your body through muscle testing.